All right, today we're going to be talking about how to plan, launch, run, and wrap up successful online peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns or events. My name is Mark Becker. I'm the founding partner of Cathexis Partners, and we recently put out the peer-to-peer fundraising landscape guide that looks at several different peer-to-peer platforms, and this is a bit of a discussion around inclusive of that document. A little bit more about Cathexis Partners. I started the company coming up on 11 years ago now, where we support, in that time, over 850 different nonprofits with thousands of projects. And our team exists of over 20 folks across the U.S. We're a virtual organization, fancy way of saying we all work from our home offices. But it's a nice, effective, affordable way to support our clients in their technology needs in the nonprofit space. So let's talk about the different steps to successful campaigns, step by step. First of all, it starts out by identifying your goals. Financial goals, of course. Are you going to have sponsors? If it's a physical event, that's more than likely. Hopefully you'll have sponsors to help offset the costs of producing the event. Also, are you going to charge a registration fee or just raise donations with no registration fee? And what are those goals as far as total sponsorships and funds raised and potentially registration fees? Then also non-financial goals like maybe it's extending your house file, number of overall participants, number of donors, that type of thing. Once you've met with the team, and we'll talk more about the team in a moment, and agreed on the goals, make sure you have those documented so that upon completion of the campaign, you can verify you've actually reached those goals. It's amazing the number of times that I've worked with organizations that someone in the group believes they've met their goals in the past, and others believe they have not, simply because they had different goals in mind. So make sure everybody's on the same page as far as what the goals are for the campaign. Then there's discussions about what type of campaign are you going to have. Old school, is it going to be a proprietary physical event like a 5K or maybe a multi-day walk like the 3-day does, Susan G. Komen 3-day? Or is it going to be a challenge event where you're more than likely not, as an organization, putting on the event yourself? It might be something that you coordinate, but it also might be like the Chicago Marathon or one of the Disney marathons, quite popular with organizations. And something unique about these type of campaigns is normally there's a fundraising minimum that participants have to adhere to be able to participate. It might be a virtual campaign. These can be the least costly, but make sure you don't get stuck in the trap of believing that there's really no or very minimal involvement required to be successful. You have to make sure you are prepared to spend some staff time marketing and supporting this type of campaign as well to make sure that they're successful. Kind of a variation on the virtual campaign is independent fundraisers, where you provide the platform and a way for individuals to set up their own events. It might be like a workplace giving, it might be a party, it might be a 5K fun run that a small faction of supporters is setting up on in your behalf. And then there's tributes and memorial campaigns in support of, quite often they're in cause and cure and animal welfare verticals. Could be others as well, obviously, but really it's all about providing and fundraising in honor of somebody or something. All right, so once you have your goals in your campaign, make sure you have your team together. And this list can be kind of daunting for some folks, especially smaller teams. But don't worry, as you already know, you can wear many hats, and you might not have separate campaign managers, marketing managers, fundraising managers, for example. They might all be one person wearing multiple hats, and also that person might happen to be the accidental techie and the IT rep as well. We've seen that in many cases. Otherwise, in large organizations, there might be one or more people filling these individual roles. But beyond your staff, don't forget about your community cheerleaders. your constituents, your passionate cheerleaders out there in the public eye, public space, outside of your organization, beyond the staff and board that can really help. But know that, again, there might be one person filling many of these roles on your team, and you might be the only person filling all these roles on your team. And know that you'll have a lot of supporters, hopefully, if they're passionate about your mission to help you with this. All right. Also, make sure you know your budget and are very aware of what that consists of. And that's not just the dollars, right? There's how much you can spend on the bottom line for platform marketing, execution of the event if it's a physical event, but also think about the other things, the intangibles like a staff time that isn't always easy to quantify how much time someone's going to spend on something. Other things that you might want to consider is a launch party or announcements that the campaign is open. It might be at another event, like at a gala. You might mention this and have something to kick that off, or it might be a special event just in preparation for the launch of the campaign. You'll have to have a platform, online fundraising platform, to support all this. And that's, again, where this recent guide that we put out, we try to do it every other year or so. The last version had 39 different platforms that we reviewed, and also Facebook fundraising. And I'll talk more about that in a second. But we looked at different areas of the platforms, like design, engagement, email marketing, user interface, the administrative interface, the integration with other things, and then overall pricing of these platforms. So have a look. You can download that from our website. Another platform and another consideration is social media, and specifically Facebook fundraising. Is that going to be part of your campaign? Is it going to be all you're using? Is it something that your organization, your constituents are already doing on your behalf without your prompting it, or possibly with your involvement? If so, there's some things you want to consider about that. It's great that there's no fees, but there's minimal constituent information that actually passes back through to you without a lot of work on your part to help do that and get that information. But definitely seen very successful campaigns using Facebook fundraising. So definitely something to consider. And social media in general around the marketing of your campaign. So once you've got all the foundation set up, it's time to build your campaign. Make sure you create a story around that coincides with your mission and articulates the right feelings and emotions for the branding. Create your communications plan around that and create all your content, your FAQs, your participant toolkits. All of that needs to be created. You can do it as you go on the fly, but the most you can set up in advance, the better. And then once you've set up the first year, make sure you keep tabs of all that information so you can rinse and repeat and make it better and improve upon that in year 2 and beyond. Of course, there's the actual platform configuration, which, how intense that is really depends on the complexity and functionality available within the platform. It might be just a matter of dropping in a logo and a few words, and you're off and running. Also, make sure you set up your metrics, how you're going to analyze and report against your overall goals, and make sure you're on track to reach those goals, and look for trends to help ensure you meet those goals. When all that's established, go ahead and launch your campaign. Send out, you might want to do a soft launch first, open it up to, if it's a legacy event, open it up to past participants, board members, staff, team captains, that type of thing, and then send it to a larger audience to kick off your campaign and recruit your fundraisers. And then once you've launched, hopefully you'll launch early enough so you have plenty of time to provide fundraising, coaching, and if you're doing an endurance campaign, you might be also providing some additional coaching around just preparing for the actual event, be it a marathon or a hike or a stair climb or what have you. But the longer runway you have, the earlier you launch your campaign, the more time you have to communicate with your participants without them feeling bombarded with multiple emails a week, maybe once a week or once every other week, whatever you find to be the right sweet spot for reaching out to your constituents and sending them emails about helping them fundraise, successful fundraising tips, and where money is going, so that they can see the impact they're making on the mission. So use your emails, social media. Create segmented audiences so you can truly let your constituents know that you're listening. And what I mean by that is being able to personalize your email communications to folks, and your communications in general with folks, so that they know that you're paying attention. In other words, you don't want to send somebody an email that says, "Hey, please register," if they've already signed up and raised a couple $1,000s, or "Hey, please start fundraising," again, if they've already raised $10,000. Make sure you can conditionalize that content and your messaging so that people know that you're aware of what they're doing. Once the campaign's all done, let's talk about wrap up. Look at your analytics again. Make sure you've reached your goals, and if not, try to find those trends that limited your success in reaching those goals. Be sure to thank your participants and the donors. Let them know that they're appreciated. Send them a follow-up survey, but don't ask any questions that you're not going to take action on. Ask them about the overall campaign, the experience, the actual event, if it was a physical event, the services provided there, the platform that was used, and make sure you review that survey and let them know what action is going to be taken based on the responses to those surveys. And now make sure you also are staying engaged and trying to move them up that engagement ladder with your organization, be it if your goal is to turn them into year-round donors, sustained givers, or just volunteers potentially, or maybe all of the above. It all starts with good communications to thank them and introduce them to other ways that they can be involved with your mission. All right. Definitely let me know if you have any questions. There's a few great resources on our website, as well as the Peer-to-Peer World website, peertopeerworld.com. Please check that out. We have a virtual conference coming up later this year, and happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you very much.